Tonight, the mystery death of a young woman in the northeast. We're live to the scene.
Also tears and tributes. The victim of a freak treefall death remembered as a beautiful person.
Some Top Gun support for Prince William as he steps up for King Charles.
Where is Samantha Murphy? A daughter's heart-wrenching plea for the missing jogger.
And only on 7, Port big man Charlie Dixon's sore point, the lingering effects of last year's season-ending injury.
Live from Adelaide, 7 News with Rosanna Mangiarelli and Will Goodings.
Good evening. First to the mysterious death of a young northeastern suburbs woman.
Mitchell Sariovsky is live in Redwood Park. And Mitch, major crime detectives have taken over the investigation.
They have, Will, and they're trying to work out what happened leading up to her unexplained death. Now, paramedics arrived here at Somerset Avenue around 7 this morning, responding to what was believed to be an overdose. The victim was found unconscious and sadly couldn't be revived. But soon after, police swarmed the scene. They found a broken window at the front of the house. Forensic officers scoured the property for most of the day, at one stage turning their attention to a back room taking photos. Now, it's understood the 26-year-old lived here with her partner.
We've never heard anything from them, no noise ever. They've been there for about 10 months and that's all we've heard.
We wouldn't have expected this to happen in this street, so it does make us feel a bit nervous.
Really unfortunate news for the family and the people that know the lady.
Devastated friends have visited the home, speaking to detectives and consoling one another. Now, Will, officers remain here at the scene tonight as they try to solve the circumstances behind the young woman's death.
All right, thank you for that, Mitch. Distraught friends of an Adelaide uni student killed by a falling tree in the parklands have paid tribute to a beautiful soul. The victim, a 22-year-old woman from Indonesia, had been running along her favourite track at North Adelaide when she was struck.
Flowers for a friend he didn't get to say goodbye to.
She was a dear close friend, very close.
The 22-year-old international student from Indonesia went for a run yesterday afternoon and never made it home.
I just checked the news and I saw that something had happened. There was an accident down here.
He had a gut-wrenching hunch and raced to the university loop track, his worst fears quickly confirmed by police.
She was a very beautiful soul.
The Adelaide uni student had stopped for a rest under a tree. Moments later, its massive trunk fell and crushed her.
She was taken away way too soon. She had so much love and life to give.
One city councillor says she's previously raised concerns.
In regards to these type of trees being planted in urban areas, they are anything that's close to sporting fields, anything that's close to the footpath.
The City Council won't say when this 24-metre sugar gum was last assessed, but it will have to provide that information to police, details that will form a key part of their investigation.
Unfortunately, not all structural flaws in trees are really obvious, and it is possible that this was one of those cases.
Police are in the process of breaking the devastating news to the victim's family overseas. Lauren Rose, 7 News.
Turning to breaking news now, and hundreds of jobs are at risk with the imminent closure of tyre giant Bow Repairs. Staff at 8 South Australian stores are facing an uncertain future after talks to sell to rival company Bob Jane fell through. The retail chain, now owned by American multinational Goodyear Dunlop, says it's looking at a new third-party sales approach but insists no final decision has been made. SA's Manufacturing Workers Union says it hasn't been consulted and is tonight urgently seeking details. Well, a group of intensive care doctors is owed about $4 million by the cash-strapped Western Hospital at Henley Beach.
Let's go live to Andrea Nicholas. And Andrea, the extent of the hospital's financial crisis has been laid bare.
It has, Will. Dozens of creditors joined an online meeting this morning, desperate to find out if they're likely to get their money back. The Western Hospital's debts total more than $25 million. The administrator says a number of factors are to blame, including the introduction of an ICU following a coronial report, a dispute with cardiologists over the hybrid theatre, and inflation. Among the 180 creditors are doctors, pharmaceutical and equipment suppliers. Around 300 employees' leave entitlements have been frozen. But it's the intensive care doctors who are out of pocket the most, around $4 million. Prosthesis and implant providers are owed up to $2 million, while the state government's chipped in $1 million to cover 3 months' rent.
It's too early in the process to start estimating what a potential return might be. What was communicated to creditors today was that their best commercial outcome also aligns with the best outcome for the community, which is to secure a new operator.
Generally speaking, it's not our place to prop up failing businesses, but where we do take an interest is where we believe it's in the state and the community interest.
The administrator expects it'll take 3 to 4 months to secure a sale and already has interested buyers locally and interstate. For now, though, it's business as usual here, including for patients awaiting surgery. Will?
Thank you, Andrea. Prince William has thanked the public for the messages of support King Charles has received while battling cancer. His Majesty held a phone meeting with the British Prime Minister as his other son Harry returned to America.
He stepped back into the spotlight solo with Britain behind him.
Your Royal Highness, how grateful are you for the public support you've received in recent weeks?
We really appreciate it, Royal Highness. Thank you.
Fundraising for London's air ambulance. This was a match made in heaven.
Thank you. Yeah, very nice. Thank you for being here.
The King and Princess of Wales out of action. William had a +1 in a Top Gun.
Tom, if you wouldn't mind not borrowing either of the new helicopters for the next Mission Impossible, it would be appreciated. We've all seen on our screens that, how can I put it, you seem to have a different take on normal wear and tear to the rest of us. It's not the kind that buffs out.
Just days after learning of his father's cancer diagnosis, the heir to the throne honouring the service he once flew for.
It's fair to say the past few weeks have had a rather medical focus. So I thought I'd come to an air ambulance function to get away from it all.
William stepping up. Harry wheels up. Less than 24 hours on the ground in London, no meeting with his brother.
You can't wave a magic wand and put this family back together again.
But a face-to-face with his father, who delayed his chopper ride to the countryside to see his California-based son. Far from the chaos and public glare in London, the King has absolute privacy here at Sandringham. He is said to be in good spirits as he undergoes outpatient treatment, albeit frustrated he can't carry out all his public duties.
People in Norfolk feel very close to the royal family because obviously the royal family spend a lot of time here. Obviously people are very concerned and very hopeful that things are going to have a good outcome.
Sentiment shared the world over. In Norfolk, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News. Prince Harry is now back in Los Angeles, and you need only look at today's headlines to see why perhaps he wasn't keen to stick around. Prince William has been dubbed the top son after last night's speech. Harry, meanwhile, was relegated to a hotel while he was here in London. As for that rather brief meeting that he had with his father, royal commentators say that shouldn't be taken as a sign that it was a frosty meeting, just that the King needed to rest, having just started his treatment.
Thank you, Ash. An Adelaide reality TV star's had a small win in her legal fight against the Federal Police. Former Married at First Sight contestant Stacey Hampton, who's representing herself, is arguing a raid on her property was unlawful. The AFP was expecting to have the case thrown out during a federal court hearing this morning, but now admits her claim is valid. The search of Miss Hampton's home was related to an ongoing tax office review.
3 teenagers have been charged and police are hunting 5 more over a string of shopping centre break-ins across Adelaide. It comes as detectives investigate a separate smash and grab at a Golden Grove business.
3 a.m. at Golden Grove. 2 hooded thieves take several attempts to kick through the glass front door of Ultratune. Once inside, they split up. One checks out a side door while the other heads straight for the cash drawer.
They've come straight for the till, and the till just lives in this top drawer, and they've picked that up and they've thrown it all on the floor.
One man stuffs the money into a bag while his mate continues to open drawers searching for valuables. Within seconds, they take off through the front door, again caught on camera. The police chopper was called in to track a Ford sedan believed to be their getaway car. It was dumped on the corner of Diamond and Commercial Roads, where the driver and passenger ran off. In their rush to escape, they left behind some stolen cash next to the car.
The silly buggers, they put the money in a bag that actually had the business name written on it, Ultratune Golden Grove.
The 40-year-old driver was arrested nearby while the passenger got away. The Ford sedan used in the robbery has been impounded by police for forensic testing. Police say the robbery is not connected to a recent crime spree where more than a dozen small businesses were targeted. Detectives have arrested 3 boys aged 14 and 15 in connection with those robberies, but they're still searching for 5 other suspects who were known to them.
We would ask that they hand themselves in, speak to their family, hand themselves in so that we can resolve these things as safely as we possibly can.
Peter Caldecott, 7 News.
Mad March just got even more frantic for the people of Dunstan, who'll now be heading to the polls during one of the busiest months of the year. Elspeth Hussey's live with the details, and the date's been set to replace Stephen Marshall.
It has, Rosanna. March 23rd has been announced as the day for the Dunstan by-election, when 27,000 voters will head to the polls in the state's most marginal seat. It is, of course, the former Premier's formal resignation earlier this week that's triggered this by-election, and that date was confirmed late this afternoon. And look, the main candidates have wasted no time. Labor's Cressida O'Hanlon met voters in Marden today, hoping to steal the seat from the Liberals. She's up against the Libs candidate Anna Finizio, who hit the parade with opposition leader David Spears today. They say this election will be a chance for voters to pass judgment at the halfway mark of the government's term. Take a listen.
It's very clear that this will be a referendum on Labor's record around our health system and around ramping.
The last time a government has won a seat of an opposition in a by-election in South Australia was in 1908.
The Premier clearly playing the underdog card there. Look, as for the timing of Stephen Marshall's resignation, it is curious. It's a busy time around Adelaide with the Fringe, the Adelaide Festival and even the Gather Round not too far away. Perhaps the Liberals will use that to question the government's priorities and highlight those election promises that they say are yet to be fulfilled. But there is one thing you'll notice is different about this campaign. It'll be the first time that candidates are banned from plastering their faces on call flutes along public roads. Back to you, Will.
Thanks for that, Elle. Drug trafficking charges have been dropped against a Flinders Park grandmother. 83-year-old Effie Pellavinides and her grandson Costa are accused of attempting to import more than $3 million worth of cocaine last year. Her grandson will return to court later this month in a bid to have his charges thrown out too. Mrs. Pellavinides suffers from advanced dementia. Adelaide's cannabis criminals could soon be forced to pay for the destruction of their own equipment. Police say to deliver a crushing blow to SA's drug trade and make some much-needed room at its overflowing impound yard.
They're the items seized at cannabis busts like this that end up taking up space here at the police compound in Ottawa.
They include the ballasts, the lights, the shades, the globes, bud strippers. So this is all associated with the cultivation of cannabis.
But that could soon change under new laws introduced to Parliament. Currently, items confiscated from crime scenes aren't destroyed until the case has been through court. But the government wants to fast-track the process.
Once it's seized, properly photographed, properly recorded, that it can be destroyed immediately.
Some 56,000 items seized from cannabis busts across the state are stored at Ottawa. At least half have been here for a year, many much longer.
By doing what we're doing today, we'll free up more police and more resources onto that front line,
making more space for essential evidence. In another blow for accused drug makers, the new laws would give authorities the power to charge them for the cost of destroying their equipment, which could cost thousands of dollars. The opposition's open to the idea.
We've got a crime wave gripping this state at the moment. We know that one thing that drives crime is drug-related crime.
The government hopes the new laws will kick in by the middle of the year. Ashley Kanowski, 7 News.
A distraught daughter has made an emotional plea for her missing mother to come home. Samantha Murphy went jogging 5 days ago in Victorian bushland and hasn't been seen since.
Led by police, a father and daughter pleading for the return of a wife and mother.
Mum, we love you so much and we miss you and we need you at home with us.
51-year-old mother of 3, Samantha Murphy, went for a jog on Sunday morning and hasn't been seen since.
Mum's a really strong woman and she's far too determined to give up this fight. I know she's out there somewhere, so if you could please continue to search for her.
Experienced, fit, she knows the Ballarat region backwards.
People just don't vanish into thin air. Someone's got to know something.
For 5 days, police and SES, using helicopters, drones, horses, have scoured the area.
We're keeping an open mind and we're hopeful.
The search zone focuses on an area south of Ballarat. Police confirming Samantha left home in Eureka Street at 7:03 a.m. She regularly ran and walked up to 20 kilometres daily, a massive search area of rugged terrain. Her phone last detected here, a 16-kilometre walk away. The search effort boosted by hundreds of friends and volunteers.
Sam, we're going to keep going until we bring you home, darling.
We are overwhelmed by the help of the public and the community.
But today they were forced to jump to Michael's defence after online suggestions he was involved, telling 7,000 followers on the Missing Mums Facebook page, "For those questioning Samantha's husband, you need not worry. He is in more pain than anyone." From police today,
There are no suspicious circumstances that we've identified at this stage.
major concerns with conditions on Sunday, 36 degrees, and the terrain, the famous gold mine region, littered with abandoned mine shafts.
Please come home soon. I can't wait to see you and to give you the biggest hug when I do and to tell you off for giving us so much stress.
Chris Reason, 7 News.
Adelaide Amateur Football Club Gazer faces a hefty penalty after being found guilty of rorting the salary cap. The club denied any wrongdoing, but after 2 days of hearings, former Supreme Court Justice Michael David found the club guilty of 223 breaches between 2018 and 2022. The tribunal will reconvene later this month to hear submissions regarding the penalty.
All right, time to check in with Soda now on what's coming up in sport.
Well, Port Adelaide big unit Charlie Dixon has revealed to us at 7 News what's causing him a bit of grief over summer, and it's also flagged when his career could end. Allan Border medalist Mitch Marsh will take a very different approach to captaining the Aussie T20 side against the Windies in Hobart tomorrow. And with finals hopes on the line, Reds boss Carl Beard is rolling the dice after making a very frank admission. All that and plenty more coming up shortly.
All right, we'll see you then, Soda. South Australian parents are more anxious than ever about their children getting addicted to vaping. What they want done next.
Also, Flinders University officially opens its new city campus. What's on offer?
A US drone strike takes out a significant target in the Middle East.
And later, how artificial intelligence is improving IVF outcomes for Aussies.
Despite an import ban on disposable vapes, South Australian kids are still getting their hands on e-cigarettes. Parents say they're more anxious than ever about vaping and they're demanding authorities close a legal loophole.
Single-use vapes, they're illegal to import, but for retailers with existing stock, they're up for grabs and finding their way into the hands of children.
Parents have enough on their plate right now juggling everything.
A legal loophole that's angered parents like Kimberly Dijkgrond. Her eldest was just weeks into high school when she became terrified of using public bathrooms after constantly seeing other students vaping.
Not just at school, but certainly in quite a few community situations where she was concerned that if she was to go into those spaces, that's the behaviour that she'd come across.
According to new data from the Cancer Council, 30% of children aged 14 to 17 have vaped, and 3 in 4 parents are concerned about their own teenagers vaping. Experts say there's reason to worry the health impacts can be detrimental.
A developing brain that's affected by nicotine means that children are lacking in concentration, and we do know that there's been an increase in anxiety.
The effects filtering their way into the classroom.
We know that during Year 12 exams last year that some students had to wear nicotine patches so that they could maintain their concentration.
Tougher laws will be introduced to federal parliament in the coming weeks, making it illegal to sell vapes to customers without a prescription. Flavours will also be restricted and nicotine concentrations reduced.
It would just remove something from the table of Australian families, and I think that would make a difference.
Gertie Sperling, 7 News.
Flinders University's new city campus has officially been launched. The uni's taking up 8 floors of the Walker Corporation's Festival Tower behind Parliament House. It says the contemporary site in the heart of the city is ideal for flexible teaching and learning, and also allows students to network with companies on other floors.
The building opened literally just last week, but we've already got enormous interest domestically and internationally.
Up to 6,000 students are expected to be based at the new campus.
US forces claim to have taken out a key militia commander in the Middle East with a drone strike in Baghdad. It comes as America's chief diplomat tries to push for a peace plan for Gaza.
American retribution on show as Baghdad's mid-evening traffic crawls by. This minutes after a pinpoint military drone strike. Apparently 3 militia members in the car, including Kataib Hezbollah commander Abu Bakr al-Saidi. US Central Command says he was directly planning and participating in attacks on US forces in the region. We will not hesitate to hold responsible all those who threaten our forces' safety. The attack stirring almost instant anger in Baghdad. No to America, they chant. No to Israel. Driving the fury, Israel's war in Gaza. Hamas has offered to free remaining hostages if Israel adopts a 4.5-month ceasefire, releases many more Palestinian prisoners, and withdraws its forces from the war-ravaged enclave. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls the plan delusional. We are on our way to absolute victory, he reassures Israelis. Not a matter of years or decades, it's a matter of months. Washington's visiting Secretary of State looking to salvage something from the Hamas offer.
We do think it creates space for agreement to be reached.
Tim Lester, 7 News.
Controversial Victorian union boss John Setka is retiring as head of the CFMEU. Mr Setka told delegates today he's calling it quits and won't nominate at the next election. It ends more than a decade at the top of the construction union.
Time for a quick check of the weather now with Casey, who joins us from a very sunny Moseley Square.
And Casey, there's a burst of heat to look forward to.
Certainly for those who enjoy the hotter temperatures, Rosanna, the mercury is set to hit the mid to high 30s over Sunday and Monday. For now, though, we are stuck with another blustery afternoon sea breeze. It has kicked up for the 4th day in a row, not quite gusty enough for the Bureau to issue a strong wind warning today, though. We are also in a bit of a dry spell. We haven't seen any rain for almost 2 weeks, and it's all thanks to a series of slow-moving high-pressure systems that keep settling over waters south of the state. The latest high is due to move out over the weekend, and that explains why we'll see some hotter temperatures in the days to come. I'll have more details in the full forecast shortly.
We'll catch you then. Thank you, Casey. A man accused of stealing a car from a Clearview shopping strip with a baby on board pleads not guilty. Those details next.
Also, why rolling out the red carpet puts us on a collision course with China.
How influencers skirt the law to spread a potentially deadly sunbed message.
And later, expert budget tips to help beat stress at the supermarket checkout.
A Salisbury North man accused of stealing a car with a baby in the back has pleaded not guilty to child abduction. 38-year-old Kieran Blundell jumped into the driver's seat of an SUV parked outside a Clearview pet store in November. The baby's mother had popped out momentarily, leaving 18-month-old Ali fast asleep in the back. Blundell remains in custody. He'll front the District Court in May.
A Windvale man has denied killing his mate in a devastating Adelaide Hills crash. 31-year-old Jed Bell today pleaded not guilty to causing death by dangerous driving. He was behind the wheel of a Ford Ranger when it slammed into a tree at Paracombe, killing his 34-year-old passenger. The men were heading home after a round of golf. Bell will stand trial in the District Court.
Australia is ramping up diplomatic relations with Papua New Guinea as China tries to sign a security pact with our nearest neighbour. James Marape was given a red carpet welcome in Canberra, becoming the first PNG leader to address our parliament.
Duelling images that highlight Anthony Albanese's dual objectives. Chinese New Year celebrations at one end of Parliament, at the other embracing Papua New Guinea Prime Minister James Marape, hoping to keep his country away from Beijing's grip with a full VIP experience. A special cabinet meeting, shadow cabinet, and the first Pacific leader to ever address Parliament.
It is a high privilege.
Wanting to extend a friendship forged on the battlefield of Kokoda, now facing social unrest in PNG and goodwill visits by Chinese warships, promoting a potential security pact to extend China's influence to Australia's northern shore.
I ask you, do not give up on Papua New Guinea.
Australia will never forget Papua New Guinea.
Yeah. Strong symbolism not missed in Beijing. The Central Authority's Global Times newspaper accusing Australia of using Cold War tactics to undermine China's relationship with PNG.
The Chinese are very good at playing Cold War rhetoric. They're the masters at it.
But Australia, masters of football diplomacy.
I hope the day will come when the people of Papua New Guinea can cheer for a team of their own in the National Rugby League.
Yeah. Mr Marape describing our countries as family.
One can choose friends, but one is stuck with family forever.
Mark Riley, 7 News.
A new type of sunbed called a calarium has alarmed skin cancer experts. They say these machines are as dangerous as the old ones, and marketers are capitalising on the rise of trendy red light masks used to treat acne.
And they're claiming that these calarium beds can stimulate collagen through red light combined with the UV component.
Commercial solariums were outlawed 8 years ago but can be bought for personal use. Experts warn UV exposure causes skin damage.
Police responding to reports of a shooting arrived to find flames ripping through a home in the US state of Pennsylvania. 2 officers who tried to enter the house were shot and are now recovering in hospital. The cause of the blaze hasn't been revealed, but at least 6 people, including children and the shooter, remain unaccounted for.
A pod of killer whales trapped by drift ice off the coast of Japan appears to have escaped. A fisherman raised the alarm when he spotted at least 10 orcas bobbing up and down in the water, but a rescue mission was deemed too dangerous. Teams monitoring the whales by drone and helicopter haven't been able to find them again. It's hoped they safely made it out of the melting ice.
Yeah, let's hope so. There's a spike in families facing supermarket stress. Budget experts share their shopping tips to save right after the break.
Also, it's nearly time to see the catch of the day with Ned McHenry.
And later, new technology improving IVF outcomes for millions of Australians.
Celebrity crocodile wrangler Matt Wright has been charged with breaking the Northern Territory's work health and safety laws. NT WorkSafe has found his helicopter, which crashed 2 years ago, killing his friend and co-star Chris Wilson, hadn't been properly maintained. He could be jailed for up to 5 years or fined more than $1 million if convicted. Wright has already been committed to stand trial for allegedly trying to pervert the course of justice.
Grocery bills have become a source of financial stress for almost 4 million Australian households. According to new research, a majority of shoppers say they've been forced to come up with new ways to save at the checkout.
If stocking the fridge and pantry is putting a strain on the budget, you're not alone. A growing number of Australian households are struggling to afford basic supplies.
The fruit seems to be very expensive this year. Grapes, for example.
In a January survey, 42% admitted grocery bills are now a source of financial stress, the equivalent of 3.9 million households, and an increase of 16% over 2 years.
It's actually just as high as the percentage of households who say putting a roof over their head is causing them financial stress.
The average household is spending $188 a week.
My average shop would be, when I come here, I go to Aldi's and to Coles, and that would be probably $180.
A lot of things, dairy, fruit, vegetables, meat's definitely gone up.
Many have changed habits, more than half buying in bulk.
Budget shopping. So I write down everything I need and that's all I buy.
61% of supermarket customers say they're now visiting multiple stores to compare prices, a minor inconvenience that helps them stick to a budget. Experts say avoiding impulse purchases and shopping around are the best ways to save.
If you, for example, download the online shopping app from Woolies and from Coles, they'll connect to your local store and give you the real-time prices.
Emma O'Sullivan, 7 News.
Now for a check of the day in finance with Angela Cox. And Ange, Australian shares climbed again today.
They did. The earnings season is in full swing and investors like the results. The ASX closed 23 points higher. AGL jumped more than 10% after that profit surge. Mirvac shares lifted on hopes of lower interest rates. The Aussie dollar is steady against the major currencies, buying just over 65 US cents. Gold and iron ore prices fell. And phone customers lodged more than 14,000 complaints in the December quarter of last year, a 13% increase. More than 900 over the Optus outage that affected more than 10 million Australians.
Thank you, Ange. A defaced statue of Captain Cook will be returned to its former glory after a Melbourne council voted to rebuild the vandalised monument. One councillor moved a motion requesting the statue not be replaced, but the council voted that down, promising to resurrect the statue that was cut off at the ankles in an Australia Day protest.
A man has been caught on camera dicing with death by climbing the Las Vegas Sphere. It took him 20 minutes to reach the top of the 110-metre tall attraction, which opened in October, forcing nearby streets to shut down. The daredevil mounted a GoPro camera to his head to capture his dangerous stunt. He was quickly arrested.
Australia's growing IVF generation, the breakthrough technology making families come true, and why it's about to get even better. Don't miss that story a little bit later in 7 News.
And now here's Ned McHenry with the catch of the day.
Last week, I asked our fishers to show us exactly why our freshwater fishing is so brilliant, and we got some cracking photos from right around the state. Now, I've got some great prizes. Let's see who our winners are this week. Nick kicks us off with a little redfin from Happy Valley Reservoir, while Rachel, she reeled in a callop from Maroona Dam, and it must be fishing well there because Brett sent in a silver perch from there too. Sam sent in a huge cod near Morgan. Brandon, he got a cod at Yankalilla, and Jack and Sadie, well, they had a ball at Bundaleer Reservoir. And the sibling battles were on. Riley outfished his sister Charlotte at Wakery, catching cod and callop, and I'll let you decide who won between George and Dimmy's cod at Happy Valley. In the saltwater, Kai, he got a 44cm whiting at Port Vincent. Erin and Layla, they both caught squid, and Brock, he got a Samson fish out from Coffin Bay. Holly nailed a blue swimmer crab at Port Augusta, and Bo, he got a cracking mulloway at the Coorong. Thank you for your photos. The fishing is on fire. Now, congratulations, Brett, Sam, Rachel, Jack and Sadie. We've got some lures for you. We're going to be in touch on the Facebook page, 7 News Catch of the Day. Otherwise, send your photos in and we'll feature you right here on 7 News next week.
Loved your work. Thank you so much, Ned. Time for Soda now. And Charlie Dixon's foot's still causing him grief.
Yeah, the big unit, he broke it late last year. It's still giving him a bit of trouble. He's also flagged perhaps an end date to his career. We're going to hear more shortly. Also coming up, why Tex expects this to be the Crows' best draft class in years. Injury to insult for the Redbacks against the Vicks as opener Henry Ham cops a nasty blow. And Adelaide United coach Carl Viet loses patience with his starting lineup after a shocking run.
She's triumphed with the Aussies across the world and stars for our strikers. Now, Adelaide's Alex Kelly reports to you on 7 News.
Hello again. Power forward Charlie Dixon has revealed to 7 News that he's still recovering from the broken foot that derailed him late last season. The 33-year-old has had another interrupted pre-season and admits this year could be his last.
Promo day for the Power in Melbourne, and Charlie Dixon is looking for a photo finish to his career.
See what happens at the end of the year if I'm still playing or not, but hey, if it is, it is. But I mean, I'm going to do everything I can, like I do every year, to try and win.
Those years in the AFL starting to add up for the 33-year-old. In fact, he's lost count.
I think he's 15, I think. Not 100% sure, but it seems like a lot.
And his body continues to pay the price. While the sore groin has limited Dixon over the last few weeks, it's the foot he broke in August that's still causing him the most grief.
I fractured one of the bones in there, so that's been the longest one through this pre-season. But other than that, I'm just normal soreness and all that sort of stuff.
Flanked by the Power's new generation of leaders today, the banged-up forward says it's the club's youth that's keeping him young.
I'm just excited to still be a part of it. They're probably the reason that I'm still hanging around at the moment.
Dixon's also confident the out-of-contract Todd Marshall will hang around too.
I can't see him going anywhere else, so I didn't even know he was out of contract, to be honest. So I'd be pretty disappointed in him, and I know he'd know that as well.
Ken Hinkley was in attendance today, hoping to finally hold this trophy for real this September.
And I do truly believe that, because if I stop believing that, that's when I shouldn't be sitting here and talking to you about being the coach of Port Adelaide.
Josh Money, 7 News.
Well, Taylor Walker says this season's draft class is the best he's seen at the Crows in years, led by top pick Dan Curtin. The veteran forward believes the new kids could be the driving force for a return to finals footy.
Charlie, Oscar and Dan have been super impressive. Be up there with one of the better drafts I reckon we've had for a period of time. And
really exciting. Confident with them?
Yeah, no, they've been really good and haven't missed a beat, the boys.
The Crows will play an internal trial next Friday night. Mitch Marsh will captain the Aussie T20 team from a separate change room after testing positive to COVID ahead of tomorrow's series opener against the West Indies in Hobart.
Yeah, it's important for us to start to get our combinations together, try and win games leading into the World Cup. But yeah, we'll find out a lot about a few guys pushing, to make the 15.
The Aussie women suffered their first one-day loss ever to South Africa. The series decider is live and free on the screens of 7 this Saturday. Redbacks opener Henry Hunt has suffered a suspected broken nose in SA's 3-wicket loss to Victoria. He was forced to leave the field after being struck by a Tom Rogers drive.
Another drag down, and this time he smashes it straight to mid-off and it's dropped. It's copped him in the nose as it burst through his hands and he's bleeding profusely.
Now he's been sent for scans. The Vicks chased down the target of 232 with 35 balls to spare. Earlier, Aussie opener Jake Fraser-McGurk made just 6. Harry Nielsen top scored with 61. The Redbacks must beat Queensland in their final game on Wednesday to avoid a winless one-day season. Well, Adelaide United boss Carl Veart admits he's hit the lowest point in his 3.5 years as manager. The Reds are rapidly slipping out of finals contention, and Veart has delivered on his promise to change half of his starting 11 for tomorrow's home clash with Perth.
With just 2 wins from their past 10 games, the Reds' terrible run of form has seen coach Carl Veart run out of patience.
We'll go close to changing half the team.
A fierce competitor as a player, last week's 4-0 loss at home has United in foreign territory under Veart.
There's only maybe 1 or 2 players in this last couple of months that could put their hand up and said they've had consistent performances. The performance last week just wasn't at the level, and those players will miss out because of that.
Johnny Yull is out with a foot injury. Nestori Irankunda left training early, while skipper Ryan Kiddo's set to be dropped for the 2nd time this season. United has confirmed the return of winger Yaya Dakuli on a 2.5-year deal.
I think everyone would have liked to have 1 or 2 more players come in. Just couldn't find the players that we were looking for.
A loss tomorrow night could see Adelaide drop as low as 11th. Robbie Cornthwaite, 7 News.
Well, at just 21 years of age, Aussie Molly Picklum is shaping up as a serious world title contender. She posted the biggest 2-wave score of the day in the first round of the Pipe Pro in Hawaii. With Steph Gilmore and Carissa Moore both taking the year off, Picklum senses opportunity and has huge plans.
Definitely world title, gold medal, obviously the Olympics is there. The sun was shining, it was like every time it rains and then the sun shines here, you know that there's going to be some sick moments in the surf.
Dual world champ Tyler Wright and Sally Fitzgibbons also advanced to the round of 16. That is our look at sport for the day, guys. Plenty going on. Footy just creeping that little bit closer, so not long to go.
Cannot wait. Thank you so much, Soda. Well, for 1 in 6 Australian couples, the journey to parenthood is challenging.
Many turn to IVF, and now they're using artificial intelligence to help give the gift of life sooner.
Libby Hanrahan spent 3 years trying for a child through an expensive IVF process, enduring 8 rounds.
I think the biggest and hardest part of that is there's no guarantees.
Now, mum to Grace, she counts herself lucky. 1 in 6 couples has trouble falling pregnant. Women are having fewer children, choosing to start their family later. And sperm counts have fallen 52% in the past 50 years. Lifestyle factors play a part, such as excessive alcohol, smoking, being sedentary, as well as exposure to plastics and certain chemicals.
Fertility is often thought to be a female problem, but it's absolutely shared amongst the sexes.
Fertility clinics have seen a surge in demand. Revenue tipped to climb to $856 million in 5 years, up nearly $100 million from this year.
1 or 2 children in every classroom are probably likely to be IVF babies.
While it is early stage research, artificial intelligence is being considered by medical experts. Technology that can interpret more scientific information faster, potentially shortening the process.
It's got exciting potential. There have been absolute explosions in the technology that underpins IVF and assisted reproductive treatments.
Angelique Opie, 7 News.
A pop-up salon in the middle of Port Road at peak hour. After the break, what's behind this hair-raising experience?
And weather-wise, there are some perfect conditions to hit the beach this weekend. Plenty of warmth and sunshine. Those details coming up live from Glenelg.
Smart glasses, the new fashion accessory. But are they a major security risk? Recording your every move without you even knowing it. Plus, Pink Down Under, inside her record-breaking Aussie tour. Start with Sunrise, tomorrow morning on 7 and 7 Plus.
For Adelaide's latest news and more, tune in to Will Goodings and David Pemberthy on 5AA Breakfast tomorrow morning.
Time for more on the weather now with Casey, who joins us again from the Bay.
And Casey, we've got plenty of warm summer days to come.
Rosanna, day by day, the mercury is set to heat up to 39 degrees across parts of Adelaide by Monday. Certainly nowhere near that heat today. The city reaching a top of 29.1 and it's around 24 degrees still now. Statewide, and temperatures were a bit closer to average today. Renmark hit a top of 32 degrees. Now, the slow-moving high-pressure system that's extending a ridge to the waters in our south is due to linger a touch longer. Then it'll move off over the weekend, and that will help bump temperatures up and bring the winds down over the next 4 days. Interstate tomorrow, a shower or two and 29 for Brisbane, a cloudy 22 for Melbourne. Those in Western WA will be feeling the brunt of a heat wave, up to 41 degrees for Perth. Back home, again, barely a cloud in sight as skies remain dry. 37 degrees for Cooper Pedy and Roxby Downs, becoming windy, and 34 for Port Augusta, a windy afternoon and 29 for Whyalla, 35 and sunny for Renmark, 31 for Clare and Kadina, 27 for Murray Bridge, mostly sunny, and 24 for Port Lincoln, a mild and sunny 21 for Victor Harbour, and a sunny 28 degrees for Narracourt, with strong winds forecast about most coastal areas. For the city, down to 14, then heading for a sunny top of 29 degrees, Elizabeth going for a top of 31. Another windy afternoon is in store on local waters. Southeasterly winds to 20 knots, reaching up to 25 knots north of Grange, seas increasing to 1.5 metres. To fishing, and it's a great time to chuck a line in. Snook are on the bite, chasing lures or liveys, and if you put the time in, you might land yourself a mulloway. as they are out and about looking for a meal after dark. Looking ahead, the winds are set to ease considerably over the weekend. Perfect time to enjoy the warm sunshine. A top of 31 on Saturday, 34 Sunday, up to 38 on Monday. Then a cool change will bring temperatures back down to the mid to high 20s again from Tuesday. And before I go, let's take a look at tonight's ray of sunshine. In the middle of Port Road, in the middle of evening peak hour, was a pop-up hairdresser organised by SA charity Puddle Jumpers. South Australians in need of a trim were able to stop by last night free of charge. Mary from Hair Age brought along her tools and got to work, some clients bringing along their pets. A feed and a chin wag, all part of the service. And of course, we love the work that local charity Puddle Jumpers do. They do mostly work with young kids around the state too.
Awesome job, and good on you, Mary. Good
Absolutely.
Hair. That is all the news for now. We will have updates throughout the evening.
For all the Adelaide 7 team for now, it is good night.
Good night.
Stream 7 News anytime, live and on demand on 7 Plus, and with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.